Hey, Curtis,
Hey Oz,
you got a movie for us this week?
I do have a movie this week. This week's movie marriage is Ferris Bueller's Day Off plus Red Dawn. Throw in some hackers, all rendered on an Atari 2600. This week we're watching one word WarGames.
Yeah, I feel bad about these like 80s era like technologically advanced movies because they were still limited by the technology of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, we're gonna, all of NORAD is like controlled on like what you said, like a Commodore 64.
Yeah. Insert floppy disk to commence with launch sequence.
Giant floppy disk.
Like a two-hander.
Exactly. And so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme. This month being war movies, and this actually is the finale of
it is.
Said theme.
Every movie we've had is at the consecutive letters WAR.
Yeah, and we're wrapping up the month with WarGames, which took you a while to find as you were doing what the grammatically correct of making it two words.
Yes.
but Big John Badham says, no way.
It's one word.
This is a one-word film.
One word. WarGames.
So, kind of lost my train of thought there. But no, I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'm the other host, Curtis.
And before we get too far, I want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers Don S., Aaron A., Mandy K., and the return of Melissa L.
Yes, I was just notified of that yesterday.
Yeah, she has returned to the Patreon list. So welcome back, Melissa L.
She's done with her sabbatical.
Yeah, well, and now she could be back to being referred to as Patreon subscriber
Melissa L. Yeah.
So, WarGames. This is was it the fifth movie of the month? Did we get five this month?
Yeah, we had five weeker this month because again we measure our weeks by Wednesdays.
Yeah, by Wednesdays. So this is your film. So I'm going to go through the cast of the movie. There seems to be a big cast, but not really an importantly big cast.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people, but there's really only a couple that really matter. I tried keeping track of the characters in the first 10 minutes, and no, you really only need to know like 4 or 5.
Right, and that's really about as deep as I'm going to go. It's about 4 or 5. We are our kind of protagonist, I guess.
Sure.
Is Matthew Broderick, who plays David Lightman, a bright but unmotivated Seattle high schooler. In a very early Matthew Broderick role. A couple of years before.
So you and I have never worked with any of those students.
No. I've never seen a bright and unmotivated student.
No, those are mutually exclusive things.
Well, I see plenty of unmotivated. It's the bright and unmotivated that I miss out on. No, I'm kidding, of course. Yes, it's just token for pretty much all high. It's like the bright motivated students are the anomaly.
Yeah.
He's joined by Ally Sheedy playing Jennifer Mack, a fellow high school student that pretty much just had nothing else to do.
Really into fitness.
Yeah, very much into fitness.
Very into fitness. I got a feeling that's going to come up.
And she just really came off as bored. Like,
yeah, she had nothing better to do. I may as well help my pal hack into NORAD.
Well, yeah, he changed my grade for me, so I guess I should hang out with it for a while.
Yeah.
And so those are our non-military people. We are also joined by Dabney Coleman playing Dr. John McKittrick, whose real push is we should let computers control the launch sequences of nukes. We shouldn't rely on people.
Yep.
We got Barry Corbin as the other side of that argument, General Jack Behringer.
Cigar chomping, chewing.
He's also into fitness. As in, I'm I'm gonna fit this whole scene into my mouth as I chew it up.
I'm gonna chew this scene like I'm chewing this cigar.
Watch me fitness in my mouth. And then we got John Wood, who plays I don't know, not really a moral compass, but kind of the Yoda of our film.
Sure, it eventually turns into that. Yeah.
Yeah, played by John Wood. He's not John. It is John Wood. He's not played by John Wood. Plays himself.
John Wood playing John Wood. It's a fictionalized version of John
Wood. No, he plays Stephen Falken, and also the voice of
it's an autobiography of John Wood.
Exactly. Right. And then that's pretty much it. We got David's parents in there that are kind of funny. There's other
people that are there.
Yeah. Eddie Deason shows up, which is always good when you see Eddie Deason. William H. Macy is in here as an uncredited NORAD officer.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. It's there you go.
Is this before or after he shot himself in the driveway?
This is before. Michael Madsen's in the movie a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, he kicks us off.
You just got a few of those kind of that guy kind of things before they were that guy.
Yes.
But really, this is the Broderick, Coleman, Corbin show.
Yeah.
With a dose of Ally Sheedy.
Yeah, she just happens to be there.
You're
right. It's really those three, basically. Yeah.
I have a feeling like if Ally Sheedy just wasn't as cute as she is in this movie, they may, there's probably wouldn't. Being early 80s, been like, well, you're attractive enough. We'll keep you around.
It's like, well, we need him to talk to somebody who's not in the military industrial complex. So, Ally Sheedy.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's like, apparently, like, computer nerds in the early 80s were a bigger hit with women than they are today.
So I was just born in the wrong era, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I said computer nerds, though. Would you consider yourself a computer nerd?
Oh, not necessarily computer nerd, but just more nerd.
Yeah, well, nerds were still losers back then.
Oh.
I kid.
Wow.
So, and that's it. That's it for your cast. What do you got for a plot for this, for WarGames?
Because it is one word. WarGames. Well, WarGames kicks off with two soldiers pulling up in a snowstorm, one of which is young Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
Does not cut anyone's ear off in this movie.
He does pull a gun, though.
He does. That scene got escalated really fast. I know.
Like, this movie really kicks off with some tension.
Yeah, so basically these two guys pull up to this base in a snowstorm. It looks like they're walking into like a cabin, but in reality it's NORAD.
Yeah.
It's their turn to man the nuclear codes, basically.
Yeah.
And so they go down there, they get settled in, they're kind of joking around, and all of a sudden, things start beeping and blaring, and they get a red alert. They're prompted to enter launch codes. They turn the keys, or they go to turn the keys simultaneously, and one guy refuses to do it.
Yeah.
Michael Madsen, who's the other guy, pulls a gun on him, and do it. It's your job.
Right.
Turns out that it was all just a very, very elaborate training sequence.
I know. It's like, what if he would have turned the key? Like, would that? Like, was it just a video of? Because that nuke was firing up, and he just wouldn't open the door. Like, would it have fired a nuke if he opened it? If he turned the key?
Just one.
Well, that's true. It's just one.
Just one.
Would have flown into like Nevada or Utah.
Only a semi-populated area.
It'd have been all right.
Yeah. So yeah, it turns out it was just an elaborate training sequence. We cut to Behringer and McKittrick and all these NORAD guys.
Yeah.
They're like 22% of our launch officers, have failed this test. And so McKittrick's like, we got to take this out of human hands in the event that that we have to launch nuclear warheads. We got to have an automated system doing this.
Do you think it would have been easier to just get rid of the 22%?
Well, I did find the sequence kind of like interesting. Go ahead though.
I was just like, because you clearly need two people to do it. And just like real quick mental math is, the only way that you're going to get, and I'm probably wrong here, but the only way you're going to get 22% to be an even number is if you take 22 out of 100. Because if there's only 50 launch guys, now 22% is only 11 of them. 25, it becomes a fraction or a decimal. So you could probably just fire the 22 and go with 78 and just have them work a little overtime.
That was a lot of math there, nerd.
Yeah, well, I wasn't a hit with the ladies in the early 80s.
Let me break up my fractions and decimals. No.
I did it all mentally.
I didn't even need a protractor.
Or my watch calculator. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been cheaper and simpler to just fire the 22 that won't turn the key.
Yeah.
Keep the 78 that will.
They did say, I think they said this, that like we're having a hard time identifying who these people are before we're putting them through this training sequence, because they pass all of the other tests and metrics and personality measures and all this stuff. They all seem to be capable of doing it, but then 22% of them don't.
Fair enough.
Because 22% of them, want the world to continue to exist.
Yeah, idiots.
We get some brassy military music as we see the outside of NORAD. There's a lot of that in this movie.
Oh,
Brassy military snare drums.
Exactly.
It's just all that kind of your stereotypical. This is a military movie, so we need a lot of muted trumpets playing.
Right.
McKittrick says we got to automate the system. We get some guy named Healy expositions about like the amount of time, the length of time it takes for like a nuke to get from mainland Russia to U.S. mainland and all this stuff. And eventually we get introduced to the aforementioned WOPR, which is the automated system. It's back in 1983. It was a gigantic box.
Yes. Yeah. With a face.
Mm-hmm. And WOPR is constantly running like simulated war games.
Yeah.
Which makes it smarter. It is an AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so McKittrick's like, we got to let WOPR make the calls. They eventually compromise and said that we're going to let WOPR like sort of like run the numbers, but we'll still have a man making the call, and that would be Corbin. We cut to then we cut to David up in an arcade in Seattle playing Galaga, Oz. And I did note he had the two ships side by side as he was playing Galaga.
He did.
You could tell he's a good, smart Galaga player.
Yes.
That's
always wise.
That's how you play the Galaga game. You got to risk it. It's a calculated risk.
Mm-hmm. Which is what David Lightman is all about.
Calculated risk.
Yeah.
When I think Matthew Broderick, I think calculated risk. Well, I mean, he is married to Sarah Jessica Parker, so.
Yeah.
And he did kill a guy, too.
But he was acquitted.
Yeah. So he's late to school and class. His teacher shames him.
Yeah.
That might come back a little bit later. It's some kind of science class. They're kind of all over the place talking about science, and
it's school. It's just school.
It's Hollywood science.
Yeah.
They're talking about physics, and then they're talking about biology. David makes some crack. The teacher's talking about asexual reproduction.
Yeah.
and
so it's kind of funny.
It's like who in the class knows about asexual reproduction? And David's like, your wife.
Your wife.
Hey. And then he puts his hands up for high fives from everyone.
Right. Because everybody loves the nerd.
Everybody loves the nerd. So he's sent to the office, and while he's there, he knows where the school keeps its password for its dial-up login, I guess. It's like the password to the mainframe of the great, like this, just like student info system. Yeah,
like,
old SIS.
Like, why would he know where this password is? Like, it just seems like, because even when he gets home, he knows exactly how to log into it. So is the program loaded on his home computer as well?
You're thinking way too hard about this, Oz. This is 80s hackers.
It's true.
You just punch the school's number into your modem and you're on their system.
I would have really loved to see, how like Schwarzenegger has the "I'll be back." I would have loved to see Broderick have a setup where in every movie he's in, he logs into a school computer from home. That's just his thing.
And then he turns and winks at the camera. Life's too short.
Right. I just want to get a kick out of it. Like, Inspector Gadget, it would have worked there.
He does it. Yep.
It would have been great.
Strangers with Candy.
Exactly. Why not? Election. He just logs into the school computer from home. Like, everything he does, it makes sense.
Thinking about this, he's in a lot of movies that take place in or around schools.
Yeah. And in or around technology. Like, even Inspector Gadget, where it's not around school, it's still the tech. Like, missed opportunity, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Broderick, that could have been your thing.
I know.
You started off hot.
Whoever Matthew Broderick's agent is, oof.
Should have been us.
Poor job. Agent and publicist.
Between WarGames and Ferris Bueller, he's really set himself up to just hack into school computers.
Basically. So after school, Jennifer drives up on the lawn in school on her dirt bike.
That's where the parking was.
Yeah. She gives him a ride home on the back of her dirt bike. Where he invites her in and he hacks into the school computer, changes his grade in biology, and then offers to change her. And she's having a little moral crisis here. She refuses, and after she kind of leaves in a huff, he actually logs back in and changes her grade anyway without her consent.
Higher to what he was going to change it to.
Yeah, he originally was going to change it to, I think, a C.
Yeah. I'll just give her an A.
Yeah. Why not? What a nice guy, that David.
I'm just glad that teachers in the early 80s kept no record books separate. There's no proof that, they just, that's what the computer says. Computers don't lie.
That must have been what I said then.
I must have hit the wrong button.
Yeah, it's on me, not the computer.
Yeah.
Later, we get a fun little sequence. David's at the dinner table, and Dad is putting a lot of butter on a piece of bread. He has. There's some kind of moments. This one might come up later as well. But he's putting a whole lot of butter on a piece of bread, and he uses this piece of bread. He then wipes it around an ear of corn to equally distribute the butter.
To be fair, that's honestly how I grew up, buttering ears of corn. When we
really?
would have corn. Yeah. We have corn on the cob.
That's a hack that I did not know.
Yeah, we would always butter a slice of bread, and then, like you did, just sandwich it and roll it around, and now you got a fully buttered ear of corn and a pretty tasty slice of bread and butter.
Yeah, with a bread and butter with hint of corn.
Yeah, that's how we did it growing up until we became sophisticated and got the Tupperware or whatever where you put part of a stick of butter in it and
yeah.
And the plastic is formed to the ear of corn. Nope, it was always bread and butter.
Yeah, that's a hack that I was not aware of. So
use it next time. You'll find it much more efficient
and fun
and environmentally friendly because you're not using the piece of plastic.
There you go. David starts trying to hack. He read about some new online game or something that Protovision is putting out, and so he tries to hack into this gaming server is what he's trying to do, using real life techniques like having these like robocalls.
Yeah,
where it's just sequencing through every possible phone number in an area code kind of thing.
Yeah, David's bright. I completely understand why he's bored with school.
Yeah. Or making fun of his teachers.
Yeah.
The next day, Jennifer tells a Galaga playing David, so she meets him at the arcade, change her bio grade to passing, and he's like, I already did it, baby.
Yeah. Give me some sugar.
Back in his room with Jennifer, he gets into this Protovision game server, and there's games such as Falcon's Maze, Blackjack, Checkers, Chess, air-to-ground actions, theater-wide tactical warfare, theater-wide biotoxic and chemical warfare, and the final one, global thermonuclear war. That's quite a list.
Really escalates from chess to global thermal nuclear war.
Yes.
Which one do you want to play?
Yeah, I should have included in my notes. Tic-tac-toe is also there.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Right.
David brings out a printout of all of these games to a bunch of hackers to try to get some more info. there's two characters there that he's getting info from. One of them is obviously an autism spectrum inspired character who they're playing off as this very awkward nerd, and I have some kind of problems with that, but I won't go into detail about it. But you're using somebody's disability to frame them as a nerd. He wants to play, and one of the guys is like, it's probably military grade, but David insists, I want to play this game. Military be darned.
Yeah, because I'm a kid in Seattle, nonetheless.
And so he learns that there's probably a back door into the server, and that because the first game listed was called Falcon's Maze, it's probably written by a guy named Falken. So start there.
Right.
We then get a montage of research.
Love it.
Got a research montage.
Just talking about it.
It's another research montage. He flips some books. He looks at some microfilm.
Watch him read.
Put together some post-it notes.
Montage.
The next day, Jennifer runs up to David's house, and boy, are her arms pumping, Oz. She's running like Robert Patrick from T2.
She's fitness enthusiast.
She is a fitness enthusiast. David hasn't been to school in days. He's finding out more about this Falken guy. He's dead, but his wife and child died first in a car accident. David figures out that the password is Joshua, which was Falcon's dead child's name. It lets him in. It starts talking to David, including, "Shall we play a game?"
Right. It's the precursor to the Saw movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is.
Also pops up in Captain America Winter Soldier as well. Which for my money I think is my favorite Marvel MCU movie.
It's a great one for sure. Got that like political thriller feel to it.
Yeah. It feels like a 70s movie and a superhero movie.
Yeah.
David says, I want to play global thermonuclear war.
Right.
And it asks him to pick a side. He picks the Soviet Union. So Joshua, the computer system, picks the U.S.
Right.
As he types in U.S. cities to nuke, because again, he's representing the Soviet Union, he types in Las Vegas and Seattle. We cut back to the NORAD base, Oz.
Yeah.
And they have a report that a Soviet missile warning is going off, and that confidence is high that missiles are inbound to Las Vegas and Seattle. We cut back to Jennifer drinking a tab on camera. Product placement.
Yeah, love it.
As they're laughing and he's playing the game, we go back to NORAD, and General Behringer's loaded up a huge cheek full of chewing tobacco. He's mad their satellites didn't pick up the launch. David's parents yell at him to clean up some garbage, so he disconnects from the game, and once he disconnects, NORAD's screens go dark.
Right.
So
the nukes are gone.
Yeah. There's some nerdy guy who kind of like oversees WOPR on a day-to-day basis. He runs in screaming, "We're not being attacked, it's a simulation." And they figure out it's somebody from the outside who was able to hack into their systems, and they traced it to Seattle. We get another his parents are just drips.
I love them. I love his parents.
It reminds me a lot of like the Gremlins parents.
Yeah. Yeah,
just 80s drippy parents.
Yep.
Let's see, where are we at? David's talking to his drippy parents, that's right, and the TV's on in the background, and the news report says that there was an erroneous nuclear alert, which catches David's attention because he's like, "Oh, poopy."
Ooh.
That might have been me.
Guilty.
So the camera pushes in on him, and he's all panicked and paranoid. He throws away his research. WOPR basically hacks into his system.
Right.
And says, "Hey, do you want to keep playing?" And we see a running clock, 31 hours of expired, 52 remaining. David asks WOPR, what's the goal of this? And WOPR says it's to win the game.
Yeah, that's why you play. It's the only reason to play a game is to win.
Awkward cut. The next day, David is exiting a 7-Eleven with a very, very big gulp. I got more product placement here. The feds surround him and basically like black bag him into a van. Healy tells McKittrick, we're at DEFCON 4 still. 5 is the safe one. And so they bring David and NORAD. They're all trying to figure out if he's telling the truth. David's like, no, I hacked in. Some of them think he's a Soviet spy.
Yeah, like it's total military of like, we see the truth being told flat out, and they're like, no, there's no possible way that this could happen. Well, there is.
So McKittrick's talking to David. David sees WOPR and says, Joshua.
Yeah.
David tells McKittrick, I was just playing a game. While shaking David down in his office, McKittrick gets called out and is told the nuclear codes are active, but the system won't accept them unless they're at DEFCON 1. But they go to DEFCON 3 next to a big picture of Ronald Reagan.
Yes. Product placement.
More product placement. Ronald Reagan. He was his acting agent, trying to get him some more acting.
Yeah, so we got you in this movie, Ron.
The estate of Ronald Reagan collects commissions from this movie every time someone watches it.
WarGames.
WarGames. Left alone, because they leave him alone in McKittrick's office, David, with a computer terminal right there.
They had James Tolkien around, though. I mean,
I know.
It's what he does. He enforces teenagers and keeps them from doing nefarious things.
He logs back into WOPR. WOPR gives David projections of U.S. civilian deaths, saying 72 million, give or take. Is how many U.S. civilians will die in this scenario. David asks WOPR, is this a game or is this real? And WOPR says, what's the difference? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. David is then told by James Tolkien that he's being arrested, and they throw him into a locked room in the infirmary.
Yeah. Because
why not? David then comes across a tape recorder and uses it to open the door.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. The door's always listening.
I'm not even going to go into that. Whatever. Yeah. He escapes into like an elevator shaft, ventilation duct. Then he sneaks his way into a tour group because NORAD is constantly giving tours.
Constantly. I love that scene too. We're worried about this one kid who's admitting, I hacked in, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And they're like, you're a spy. Meanwhile, public tours.
Through like the main hub too. Yeah. It's not even like we're gonna here's like a fake NORAD room we're gonna have you take a look at. So he blends in with the group and he escapes on a bus. David hacks a phone booth because apparently there's a lot of technology in public phones he's able to hack there. Gets Jennifer to buy him a plane ticket down to Oregon so he can track down Falken. And then she shows up at the airport in Oregon because why not? I think she ran there, her arms pumping the whole way.
Right. Well, she did do her stretches.
Yeah. On a ferry to the island Falken lives on, David tells Jennifer everything. He comes clean to her. On the island, they find Falken. David tells him, I came because of Joshua. And that got Falken's attention.
Stops dead in his tracks.
Yeah, he was very dismissive of them earlier. Back at NORAD, the computer identifies 2 Soviet bombers flying towards Alaska. And they go to DEFCON 2. Behringer sends up American pilots to get visual confirmation, and there's nothing there.
No.
So, is this real or is it not? Back with Falken, Falken basically says, I'm okay with humanity destroying itself. And that extinction is inevitable. Falken's kind of a dour guy.
A little bit.
leans towards pessimism.
Slightly. I think Rachel Dratch would play him in a remake.
Falken downer. David calls him out. You're already dead. You don't care about anything. Jennifer suggests that she and David swim the 2 to 3 miles to shore.
She just ran across the water.
like the kid from The Incredibles. Yeah.
Exactly.
Jennifer says, I was going to be on an aerobic show next week. That somehow inspires David to kiss her.
He loves fitness, and she is fitness.
She is. She defines fitness. A helicopter spotlights them and chases them around for what seems like hours.
Oh, yeah.
But it's Falken. And eventually
Yep.
He's like, hey, it's me. Climb on board.
Right. It's okay, guys.
Yeah. So we're into Act 3 now, Oz. Back at NORAD, they're tracking 300 inbound ICBMs.
It's like the world is going to end.
Yes. Behringer moves them to DEFCON 1. WOPR recommends a full-scale retaliatory response. The Soviets are denying everything. This isn't us.
Right, which I can't believe a Soviet.
Yeah. We cut to David, Falken, and Jennifer being driven in a military jeep and then running inside. So everybody's here. We're all in the NORAD headquarters now. Falken tells McKittrick and Behringer it's a bluff, and the screens show phantom missiles. Falken tells Behringer as he's listening to a machine that the Soviets would not order their own annihilation. Behringer calls off the retaliation, so he listens to Falken. However, they're basically on the line with several of these bases that are supposedly going to get hit first.
Yeah.
And there's a countdown that commences as they're all clutching their pearls. The screens light up like that Atari Missile Command game.
Oh, I love that game.
And then eventually the NORAD people ask these other bases, are you still here? And they say, yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, we're good.
One of them, yeah, we're here. Jesus H. Christ, we're still here. And I think that was the base in Maine. Somehow they gave this Mainer like an Alabama accent.
Why not?
During the celebration, yay, we're saved. They realized WOPR isn't letting them log back in to power down their own missiles. So Joshua starts running through sequences to try to get the 10 number launch code, and it's picking these numbers off one at a time, identifying these numbers.
Yeah.
David says we need to challenge Joshua to a new game to like distract it and get it to learn, not failure, but learn that some games can't be won.
Right. Yeah. That sometimes there's no winner.
Yeah. And so they get Joshua to, alongside still running these numbers, to start playing tic-tac-toe with them. And I love this. Like, I don't know if this was meant to be funny or not. I have a feeling it was, but like as they start up the first game of tic-tac-toe, some guy like over David's shoulder goes, "Put X in the middle."
And it was like everybody's on board with helping.
Yeah. So Joshua hits all 10 numbers in the sequence, and we see the tic-tac-toe games just cycling, no winners. Then, like the missile command, basically, there's supposed missiles everywhere. And then the lights go out, and then the voice of Joshua comes back on and says, "Greetings, Professor Falken. Strange game. The only winning move is not to play. How about a nice game of chess?" So it didn't fire the missiles.
Thankfully.
Yes. This was pretty tense, I will say.
Yeah, it was. The beginning and the end of this movie really did ratchet up the tension.
Yeah, they did. It did a good job with that. McKittrick, they all start shaking hands. McKittrick tussles David's hair because that's what you do with a youth.
Whippersnapper.
I know. David then tussles his hair back. Behringer orders back to DEFCON 5, and then we roll credits.
Credits.
That's it for WarGames. Oz, any final thoughts on the movie before we jump into the next bits?
It was far more lighthearted than I anticipated
for a movie about
nuclear destruction.
War.
Yeah, of course, we talked before. We hadn't seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, neither of us had seen this. I'd seen partly bits of it, but yeah.
But I was aware of the concept of the movie. Mm-hmm. And then it was really just a lot more lighthearted than I anticipated. Yeah.
Like it even had, like some of the sequences with like David and Jennifer had some of that like cheesy 80s like falling in love music like before they kiss and stuff like that. And then it would go back to your brass and snare drums at NORAD.
Exactly. It was It's just a little bit all over the place, you know. But it was fun.
It was fun enough, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into our
made a ton of money, like 10 times its budget.
Well, and Reagan's administration watched this movie, and a year later, that's when they started putting in some of these, you know, congressional acts to like safeguard, you know, the first things is safeguard, like, you know, like digital security, network security, things like that.
Right.
All right. Well, hey, folks, it's that time of the show where Oz and I each give our own unique rating about the movie in question. In this case, 1983's WarGames. Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give it a WOPR Junior.
WOPR Junior.
Yeah. Yeah. The old WOPR computer system just reminded me of like a fun little guy.
Why am I so hungry as I watch this movie?
I'm going to give him a WOPR Junior. What are you giving it?
I got a taste for a flame-broiled burger.
Right.
Have it your way.
That's right. What are you giving it?
Is that Burger King or McDonald's? I don't remember.
Burger King.
Is it Burger King? Okay, yeah. I got it right. What they needed was like everything goes dark, and then like the king's head just slowly rises in the frame.
Right, yeah. When they play that game of chess, it should have been the king.
The king, yeah. I'm gonna rate this with 5 DEFCONs.
Fair. That's the appropriate amount of DEFCONs.
Yes,
I always thought it was odd that like I feel like it should have gone the other way.
Yeah, like 5 was the worst. Not 5
yeah,
was the best, yeah. I know. And we'll have to ask Behringer about that in between chomps on his cigar.
That's true.
Or big cheeks full of dip.
He's like eating a chair at one point. Like it's just when he was in a scene and there was nothing for him to do, he just kept eating.
he's just gnawing on like a piece of leather at one point.
Yeah.
like a piece of rawhide.
Yeah, that he had slathered butter on with a piece of bread and butter.
Yeah, he took the bread and butter and slathered it around the rawhide, curled himself up in the corner, and then would just growl at McKittrick every time he came close. All right, hey, next up, folks, we've got Outside Insights. Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. Hey, Oz, what's your Outside Insight?
I have a review from Brandon Greenbaum, 1 star left on Letterboxd.
Okay.
He says, "My God, this movie never ends, and accomplishes an incredible feat in making going into DEF CON feel about as urgent as someone with IBS realizing the food they're eating is just a tad too spicy." It should have been a little more urgent, but
yeah.
So I know they whipped through these DEF CON numbers too. Like
they did, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that escalated quickly.
Yeah. Or de-escalated? I don't know. You've going the wrong direction with your DEF CON numbers. So, what's your Outside Insight?
I got 2 I'm going to share. The first one's a really quick one. They're both 10 out of 10 reviews from the Internet Movie Database. Yeah. The first one comes from Logo Fun from October 2021. When it comes to great classic cyber films, nothing beats WarGames. Not even those other classic cyber films. Not even Ready Player One can compare to the awesome storyline and special effects.
Oh, Lord. That Ready Player One wasn't a bad movie, but...
Yeah, it's just nostalgia barfed all over the screen.
Yeah, the book was too.
Yeah. The other one, again, also a 10 out of 10 from the Internet Movie Database. This is Generation of Swine.
Okay.
Is Generation of Swine is the user. Left in January 2019. Ally Sheedy, whatever happened to her? When I was a little kid, I mean really little, she was one of the few stars I could name. And then she disappeared. It's a shame. Anyway, my fiance is a millennial, and I've been trying to introduce her and her friends to some classic films. This one was a fail. They sat through it, but the only thing they did was mock the technology. Mocking things that are old for being old is kind of one of their favorite things.
Yeah. Like, probably mock you then, sir.
Yeah, it sounds... Ally Sheedy, what happened to her? It's a shame. Anyway, my fiance's a millennial.
I just wanted to let you guys know I married way younger.
Basically, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, high fives, everybody. High five, high five.
You guys see my wife and her friends. Yeah, they make fun of me and ridicule me constantly for being older, but hey, it's a living.
Yeah, but my wife's 15 years younger than me, so high five, high five,
Yeah,
high five. All right, folks, it's that point in the show you've all been waiting for, our signature segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film in question, 1983's WarGames, or WarGames as we've dubbed it. WarGames, because it's one word. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
Titular line. There's a titular line.
That's your favorite thing.
My second is actually a somewhat accurate foreshadowing of the direction of AI. Way better than, we'll say, like what Terminator did. We've got cyborgian robo-skeleton, blah blah blah. It's like this movie is far more accurate in the direction that AI has been heading. Still not of its own devices, thankfully. And then my third, I really enjoyed the face on WOPR. Just the little eyes, and a little bleepity bloopity mouth.
Bleep bleep blorp.
I love 80s fascination with advanced technologies just having lots of lights.
It's not technology if it doesn't have blinking lights.
No. If there aren't 57 light bulbs attached, then it's not technologically advanced. So those are my 3 goods.
There has to be at least 2 different colors.
Oh, yeah. You got to go from red to yellow and yellow back to red. So, what are your 3 goods?
Oh, I'm going to start with double ship side-by-side at Galaga for my first one.
Okay.
I mentioned this at the beginning, but again, a good Galaga player knows how to take that risk. Let your ship get captured so that you can free it and then have double ship for double guns. So that's my first one. That's how you knew that David really was good at what he did, because he had the double ships in Galaga.
Fair enough.
My second good, let's go with, I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. Just drippy 80 parents.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll also work in David's dad's method of putting the butter on the corn, which apparently we didn't have that technology where I grew up. So
no, life hacks were not quite up to you.
No, that didn't make it to Kankakee County.
I know my mom read about it in the newspaper. So
wow, wow, the Peoria Star Journal was on top of things.
My mom can't read. Let's not get ourselves. She saw it in WarGames.
She buttered a piece of bread and it slipped out of her hand and fell onto an ear of corn, and she had an idea.
Yeah,
it's like Doc falling off the toilet.
Exactly.
Of the flux capacitor.
My mom was just a little bit more contained and just like, I figured out a better way to butter our cord.
Your mom fell off the toilet, and instead of having a vision of the flux capacitor, it was a piece of buttered bread and an ear of corn.
Well, it's because she fell off the toilet while eating bread and butter and corn.
But the butter wasn't equally distributed.
No,
so it was really disappointing.
Her hands weren't free to catch her fall.
They were too buttery anyway. Whoa!
Oh, Mom, I know you're not listening, but I do love you.
I kudos to you and your family for knowing that life hack back in the day.
Have you seen my childhood photos? There wasn't a food hack I didn't know. I was good. I had some girth as a kid.
So that was my second good. I'll go with. I think it told a good story. I think it was solid editing. So like the storytelling, the editing, the story seemed to move along at a steady pace. There wasn't any real like kind of down parts in the movie. So yeah, it was a well told story. Not a perfect movie by any means, but it was a good story. Yeah. I'll also throw in like clocks tension, like ticking clocks. They worked at it well. All right, so hey, those are my 3 goods. Hey, Oz, what are your 2 bads?
My first bad is that the WOPR anagrams just sounds pretty dumb for such a serious computer. Like the WOPR. Like, come on, this is the military putting it together. Yes, it ends in an R, like like a lot of them do, but WOPR, come on. 2, Broderick and Sheedy. They were pretty bad actors in this movie.
Yeah, they weren't that great.
Like it was,
especially Ally Sheedy.
Yeah, they did grow out of it a bit, but man, they were they were pretty bad.
Yeah.
My wife and I both were like, "Yeah, this is early in their careers," and and they did give their best. This wasn't like a mail it in kind of performance. This was just we're pretty raw and haven't really cut our teeth yet.
Yeah, you could tell they were trying. There was nothing, like ironic about this movie.
No, they were pretty distant from acceptable. So, what do you got for your two bads?
I'm going to start with my first one. The teacher shaming David and Jennifer in front of the class. That was,
It's pretty bad.
You and I both work in education, and that's
you don't do that.
You don't do that. Hey, David, here's the F you got in your test for everyone to see. Oh, hey, Jennifer, same thing. Here's the F you got on your test.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't do that. You don't do that like that. You don't weaponize their performance against them.
Right.
Yep. So that's my first bad. For my second one, at one point there was a NORAD guard. He was guarding the infirmary where they had locked David up in NORAD, and the guard, there was a blonde woman who was just sitting out there, just doing her job, like some kind of secretary or assistant or something. And this guy just walks over, just starts hitting on her, and she basically tells him like leave, and he doesn't. Like, no. you don't want me to leave, baby.
Yeah, it's like it reminded me a lot of like David Patrick Kelly hitting on Radon Chong and Commando.
Yes, that's a good comp right there.
She's like what don't you understand here? And he's like, well, I understand that I'm bored and you're here, so.
Mm-hmm. And so take a hint, guy.
Yeah,
she said no. She's trying to do her job.
He's pretty slimy looking too.
He was pretty slimy. He had a slimy mustache.
Yeah, like he was gonna tire to the tracks.
If I don't catch you, nobody will.
He's very dastardly.
Yeah, so those are my two bads. Say, Oz, what's your one, huh?
We kind of mentioned it slightly earlier, but does David have a hack for everything? Like, there's nothing that is in his way that he couldn't figure out. Like, he was like a MacGyver precursor. Like,
yeah, like he hacked a phone booth.
Yeah, he hacked a phone booth. He hacked a door lock without touching it, like
with a tape recorder.
Yeah, like just I don't know. It's like there's just nothing could get in his way, except for the fact that he couldn't rehack WOPR to shut it down. Yeah. So, but that's my is what doesn't David have a hack for?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Jennifer is a very fit person in this movie.
Uh-huh.
So like, where does she find the time to work out? Like David calls her and she's like on her floor doing like stretches, like
aerobic stuff.
Yes, and then like she runs up to his to his house, and again her arms are pumping.
Oh yeah, she's pumping.
They're going like 180 degrees in the other direction, and they're like her arms are at perfect 90-degree angles. She's riding a dirt bike everywhere. Like, I don't quite understand Jennifer's lifestyle.
I don't either.
Again, they're on Falken's Island, and David's like, it's at least 2 to 3 miles to shore, maybe more. And she starts like taking off her sweatshirt. Like, all right, let's swim it.
Let's do it.
Let's just swim here in open water
for 2 to 3
miles. Yes, in the dark. Like, it was nighttime also.
And David's like, I hack computers. I mean, I'm not physically fit. But yeah, I agree. I almost put as my that if she's so much more athletic than them, like why was like every time they were running from something, they were always neck and neck. Like she should have been outrunning everybody.
Yeah. while his hands are on his knees and he's like doubled over, like, give me a second, Jennifer.
So. Yeah, where did she find the time?
So that's WarGames. And that wraps War Month, Oz. That wraps, at the time of this recording, November 2023.
Yeah.
Where we had 5 movies with the consecutive letters WAR.
We did it. I'm surprised we found 5 in American filmography.
I know, right? Our culture doesn't celebrate war.
No, not at all. We are switching themes next month.
Uh-huh.
And next month's theme, I love this theme. I'm
This is
giving
gonna be a
you
fun one.
all the credit for it. We probably should try to come up with a better name for the theme. It's a little wordy, but really we're just covering just action movies that are just very by the numbers.
Yeah, that's how I have it labeled, is by the numbers action movies.
Just like cookie cutter type action films of your brain does not need to be turned on for these. Mm-hmm. But your heart will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, just by the numbers action films. Nothing too special. Very trite. Very formulaic. A lot of fighting. Mm-hmm. Just, it's Christmas.
Yeah, turn your brain off. Close your fists. Roundhouse a couple of dozen ninjas and you're good.
It's Christmas. And we are going to kick off week one.
Literally, we're going to kick off.
Yeah, we are. We're going to kick off week one of By the Numbers action films with one I've been trying to squeeze into the podcast for quite a while
and another movie I've never seen before.
Oh, and I think I've seen it once, but still. We are going to start with 1985. Michael Dudikoff.
Yeah, we are.
American Ninja.
I watched this movie yesterday, and again, it's the first time I've seen it, and oh my god, it's no spoilers for too much for next week, but what a dumb fun movie.
Oh yeah, I love this genre of film, especially the like riding the train of like 80s ninja movies.
Yeah.
And how like the best ninja of them all is always some American white guy.
Yeah. By the way, your favorite movie thing is going to happen several times in this movie.
Oh, sweet. I love a titular line.
There are lots of titular lines.
So I'm going to give just a real quick synopsis. I'm actually just going to read the two sentences from the Wikipedia plot review or plot synopsis. To summarize this movie, as an alternative to prison, young American Joe Armstrong is constricted into the U.S. Army by a judge. Joe ends up fighting off the Black Star Order of Ninjas while stationed in the Philippines. Like,
that's all you need to know, folks. That's it.
That's it. And obviously, and this goes on, like the plot of this goes on for another 4 paragraphs.
Plot.
Yeah. But yeah, Michael Dudikoff as Private Joe Armstrong, savior.
It's BJ's brother.
Movie made over 10 times its budget.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it did. It's a dumb, fun 80s action movie.
Yes, it is. And it's brought to you by the Canon Group.
I didn't know that,
film.
and I turned it on, and the Canon logo came up, and I literally started like happily like, yay, Canon!
I know, because
it's like you almost yank my computer off of my desk. How happy I am!
But it's just I love Canon films. Love them.
And, you know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get silly fun.
Yeah, you're gonna. Well, and I say this partially tongue-in-cheek, partially honestly. You're going to get creativity. Mm-hmm. You're going to get somebody with just an absolutely zany idea, and they just threw money at it and said, okay, go do it.
Yeah.
And that's really what American Ninja is.
You're going to get guys dressed in black regalia, bouncing off trampolines and doing backflips.
Yeah.
into battle.
I love it. I'm already so excited to cover this movie. You're
going to get shuriken stars.
Yeah. It's like, why not? But Michael Dudikoff, I love the guy. His filmography, he was in Bachelor Party, but American Ninja, Avenging Force, American Ninja 2, Platoon Leader, River of Death, American Ninja 4, The Human Shield, Rescue Me, Cyberjack, Soldier Boys, Bounty Hunters 2. Like, I mean, it's like he makes American Ninja, and they're like, okay, this is who you are, Michael Dudikoff.
Yeah, that's here's your path forward. It's very narrow and linear.
And he made a career. Like 2018, he played a character named Superboss in a movie called Fury of the Fist and the Golden Fleece.
Nice.
Navy SEALs versus Zombies, starring Michael Dudikoff. Like, I'd probably watch that movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so dumb. So dumb.
Well, hey, Oz, where can people find us?
People can find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find us on YouTube if you're listening. There is a link to Patreon down below if you'd like to join our army of 4.
Hey, give the gift of Patreon this holiday season, folks.
Yeah, it helps small businesses like us with a nationwide reach. Oh, we're nationwide. I kid.
Worldwide. Why?
Prestige worldwide. So, but no, we are wrapping up. I'm sorry, I got off on that American Ninja tangent. Just the excitement for next week. So thank you for writing that back in.
I love it. I love the excitement.
And so, yeah, we're going to be back to kick off. No, that was last year. By the Numbers action films before we head into 2024 already. So
I know.
It's coming like a freight train. So, all right. Well, wrong show. Come on. Off my game. For another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll see you next week with American Ninja.
Hi-ya!